At KSMO Radio, it's time for our spotlight on the Salem Memorial Hospital. Got Elizabeth with us this morning. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hi.
She's pumped. I'm telling you what, she's excited. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. This is your first time, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I can always tell. No, we're very proud to have you along. And Elizabeth's going to talk to a little bit about, about people who are there, I won't say old, because I'm in this category that we're going to be talking about, but keeping people independent at home that start to reach latter stages of their life. And whether it be 50 years of age, 60 years of age, 70 years of age, there's kind of a secret to it. And most of that secret is keeping them mobile, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So not just the 70-year-olds, but even the 100-year-olds.
Oh, sure.
You know, I mean, we all have elderly family members, and we need to help keep them going. And some of the ways you can do that is you can encourage them to do their daily tasks that they can do. So you might not be able to do everything, but if they can do a little bit, or if you have to help them do a little bit, even the laundry or washing the dishes, cooking a meal, it just helps them keep their mind and helps them keep active and keeps them going.
Go out, get the mail, go walk around the neighborhood, walk around the yard just to check it, just to keep them up and going, right?
Yep. That's very important. And if you notice like that they're having trouble like going to the grocery store, you can do like Walmart pickup, or you can do like a mail order food delivery system so that they can still cook, but they don't have to go out and get the groceries that are too hard for them to carry into the house or something like that.
So, but they get assistance. And a lot of times that can be their own sons or daughters or even grandchildren that helps them out.
Yes.
You know, one of the neat things that I remember, I'm not sure it was a neat thing, but as a youngster, my grandfather and grandmother had this 2-acre garden.
Yes.
And as grandchildren, guess who got to go weed that garden? Now, they would actually go out and pick all the ripe vegetables and things of that nature and take it on, but they didn't really want to get in there and weed it all the time. I get that. It's hot out there, you know. But we have these youngsters who can get out there and do it. So if you have some grandchildren or even youngsters maybe around the neighborhood that just need something to do, teach them how to do it and then let them go out there, and then while you still go pick the ripe fruits or the ripe vegetables that you might have on your property, and then get a little assistance that way. So you're not overdoing it. And that can be very hazardous to your health, overdoing it, especially this summer when we've had this intense heat.
Yes, it can be. And I find myself, especially like with my mom, she's got some breathing problems, so sometimes I try to do too much for her.
Yeah.
So I have to stop, say, no, let her struggle a little bit, let her do it, because it's good for her to do it.
Even though you're trained.
Yeah.
You still want to help them out.
Yeah, because it's your mom or your grandma, and you want to do what they need, but you need to say, no, let them keep their independence, let them do it, but help them when they need it. So, like, if you notice, like, even if it's yourself, you have trouble, like, you can't keep your breath and you're having trouble, we can work on breathing techniques. We can work on, our occupational therapist can work on teaching you how to do certain daily tasks a little easier by modifying things, or we can teach you how to use an assistive device if you need it. Things like that to help you stay independent.
There's means to get the end result done, isn't there?
Yes,
and I think that's really what we're trying to say here is don't give up on yourself. I mean, and let's just be honest, Elizabeth, people, and I noticed this a little bit, may have some arthritis. They may have had an injury before, and they may be limited in their mobility a bit, but that doesn't mean you can't still do things.
Right.
And don't use that as an excuse. You got to challenge yourself to move forward, don't you?
Yes, you do. It's easy to just sit down, but the body in motion stays in motion. So you just, even if you can only walk 5 feet, walk the 5 feet, because the next day maybe you'll be able to walk 7 feet or 10 feet. So, like, if it's hard for you to go to the mailbox, then go halfway to the mailbox, or pick a goal and work towards that goal, and then eventually it will get easier. Or come see us and let us help you work towards that goal, and hopefully you can get there.
You know, and I think what you're saying is a lot of times, I think, and I don't mean this just of people who 60 and above or 50 and above, we try and sometimes, I've done that before. I'm going to tell you, I don't feel like doing that,
Yeah.
So we take the easy way out and we back off.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to cut the grass today. It's too hot. I'll do it tomorrow. Okay, but you're still going to do it the next day. So you're still going to take on that chore. But if you say, I'm going to go get the mail, and you start out there and you say, I just really don't want to do that, and turn around and go back, that mail's still out there. You're still going to have to go get the mail, or somebody's going to have to go get that mail. And that's where I think we need to make sure that we challenge ourselves. Nope, I'm going to get to that mail. I don't care what it takes. I want to get to that mail. Now, you don't want to hurt yourself.
Right.
That's the big key. But if you just are doing it, giving up because it hurts a little, if you got arthritis, you're going to feel pain.
Yes.
It's just there. If you've got, let's just say, some bad knees, or ankles, or even hips, that mobility may not be as easy. But once you get going, like you're saying, once you get going, usually that loosens up.
Yes, it does.
And then you can keep going.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to get going. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to just go out there and run a marathon. You got to train for it. You got to start with a mile, and then 2 miles, and then 3 miles. And eventually, if you really are determined, you could probably do a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be determined to get up and do it. And we want our parents and our grandparents to still be able to do that too. So we don't want to take away stuff from them that they can do just because they're struggling a little bit to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My father in his 90s used to go for walks in the neighborhood and challenge himself. If he got this far to this street, after he had fallen, he had to go through the physical therapy, and he walked that far. Then he walked back. So, he took it easy at first until he realized how far he could go, and then he kept pushing further and further and further. And I remember when we were going to go for a walk, and I knew he had this surgery. He actually, he goes, let's go walk down this way. I said, Dad, there's a lot of hills down that way. He goes, yeah, I've been doing this now for about a month. So, don't ever say you can't do it. If you put your mind to it, a lot of times you can, but you just have to do it safely. Don't get in a position, and if you do get tired, sit down and rest, or go up to a tree and just kind of lean against a tree. Give yourself a chance to recover, get your breathing back to normal, and don't overtax yourself. That's not the point. You don't want to hurt yourself.
Right. Yeah.
But it can be done.
It can be done.
It can be done.
And if you can also make sure their home is safe, because we aren't always the best about making sure that things are clutter-free. So, especially if you're older and you don't feel like moving, or you can't lift the furniture, so sometimes you have to clear some pathways for them. Get rid of rugs. Rugs are very dangerous normally. That's why people fall, because their cane or their walker or their foot gets tripped up on the rug.
You don't lift their feet up very much when you get older, do you?
No, we don't. Especially
Yeah.
with certain neurological problems.
Sure, right.
We can't lift
that.
them up. So, rugs are just not really that great. They look pretty, but they're not really that great for a lot of elderly people. And bathrooms. Bathrooms are dangerous. It's okay to have grab bars, and it's okay to install grab bars for your family members. Or give them a shower chair if they need something to sit on when they're in the shower. Because bathrooms are just dangerous.
A lot of corners and edges in bathrooms, isn't there? A lot of different things. One of the things also that, and I go back to my father, he actually had some stairs, and he would make himself go up and down the stairs once a day. Just slowly go up and down those stairs. And that was, I always admire him. It took him a while, but he got up and down those stairs by himself. And there's times I even asked him, said, "You okay?" He goes, "I am fine."
Yep.
Let me get there. He goes, I said, "You sure don't need help?" He goes, "What am I going to do if you're not here?"
That's right.
Okay.
He had the right attitude.
So, yeah, and he was living by himself. My mom had passed. And so these are things that as I get older, I look and say, yeah, you have to kind of keep these things in mind. You have to keep active. Oh, sure, he did a lot of reading and watched some TV. Sure he did. But he also got himself out. And I will say this, that a lot of times when he wanted to go walk, he'd actually go drive to a casino and just walk through the casino.
Yeah. I mean,
just
that's
to
an
get out of the
option too.
house. But
A
it's all
building.
flat, you know. It's
Yeah, I mean, go to Walmart, go to the Armory, go somewhere. I mean, there's a couple of options in town where you can just go and walk, and it's air conditioned or
mm-hmm.
heated, depending on the time of year, so you don't have to worry about the weather.
Well,
I
have
mean,
your children or grandchildren take you, and they're right there with you.
yeah,
Have them walk with you.
yeah,
It's a nice little cohesive unit that you can work together. And it's really good to do stuff with your parents or grandparents
yes,
and let them know, you know, and then you can see if they have some issues that you can be there if that time needs.
yes,
They need you in that time, and I want to say we are kind of just touched on this a little bit, but there's also times people may have trouble with their heart or COPD or something else to where they are very limited in what they can do, and they do need help.
yes, and they do, and that's okay, and it's okay to help them. Just don't help them so much that they don't do anything for themselves. We want to encourage them to still be able to do a little bit for themselves. But if you notice that they're getting more falls or they're having more trouble doing something, come see us. Go to the doctor, get an order, and come see us. We can work on anything pretty much, and it doesn't matter at what level you're at. You can start off in a wheelchair, and you might be walking when you leave. You might not be walking when you leave, but you might be. And if you have breathing problems, we work on that. We work on mobility. We pretty much work on it all. I mean,
So, I want to ask you a question because I know that this happens to people because it's happened to me. If you hurt yourself, let's just say you step in a hole, you're out walking the yard, and you kind of tweak your ankle, you're going to start walking different. So it's not just your ankle that's going to hurt, is it? It's going to go from the ankle to the knee to the hip, maybe to your other foot because you're walking differently there. Maybe you're turning your foot out because you tweaked a little bit of that ankle and now you're instead of walking straight, you're kind of walking sideways. That will all play havoc with your body, will it
oh
not?
yes, it's all connected. Just like the old song says, the hip bone's connected to the knee bone. It's really true. If your foundation is bad at any point, it's going to affect everything. If your ankle hurts, your hip can hurt. It can skip your knee, or it can be your back or your neck because you're positioned differently when you're walking. So, I mean, yeah, everything affects everything.
But you want to keep the muscles going because that is a big part of it. Because sometimes you're going to get sore muscles when you do something, and then all of a sudden, oh man, my calf hurts. I'm going to change the way I do this. That's not a good idea, is it?
Not always, no. I mean, you need to really think about why you're changing it. And if you take a couple days of rest, that's okay. But then try to go back to the way you were before.
But let's also bring out if that pain continues.
Then you need to go to the doctor.
You need to go to the doctor.
And then you need to come see us.
Right. Don't put that off because it may be more than anything. And you know, like a stress fracture can happen. You don't even know it.
Yes.
And you might be able to walk perfectly on 98% of surfaces. But that one step you step on that one step or whatever it is, it's just the angle of that stress fracture. And all of a sudden, yowie.
Yeah, and that stress fracture becomes a lot more than a stress fracture.
It can take you off your feet is what it can
Yes.
do, and then all of a sudden you're falling. And so, you know, what we're trying to say is that you want to stay active, you want to stay mobile, you want to keep going, but if there is intense pain, if you do come across a lingering pain, it just will not go away, you need to get it addressed.
Yes, yes. We try to, like my theory is 48 hours, and if I'm still hurting, then I probably need to do something about it because there's something wrong. Like you might wake up in the morning and you're a little sore, but you get up and you move around and you're fine. But if you get up in the morning and you're a little sore and you just get more sore the whole day long, and the next day it's worse, then you probably need to go to the doctor and get it checked out.
So, Elizabeth, let's also say that if they're walking in the yard or walking out to the driveway and they kind of, I don't say stub their toe. That's very, generic, but, excuse me. But let's just say they do a little tweak of their knee. And they get in, they notice that their knee is swelling. You want to make sure, guys, if that's you want to make sure you get ice on that knee right now because really nothing you can do. It's just going to keep swelling, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And the faster you get that ice on there, the better off you are.
Yes. Right after injury, ice is really your best friend. I mean, unless it's like something serious, like you can like tell you broke
Well,
something.
if you the compound fracture,
I
said
mean,
go do
you're
much.
pretty much gonna know, like if it's that serious, you're gonna have to go somewhere right away. But if it's just a little sore, rest it, ice
Yeah.
it, and then if it doesn't get better, come see us.
Yeah, don't hesitate. And people, especially when you're younger, you tend to ignore those things a lot more. And as you get older, though, you notice that. Well, and because you're younger, usually you're busier too, so you don't pay as much attention to it. And if not in well, the old adage, if it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt. If it hurts and it's out of mind, it's out of sight, it's out of your head. That doesn't mean it's healed.
Right.
Just means you're not thinking about it. But a lot of times, and we all know that you can actually tweak something, know you did it 2 weeks ago, you forget about it, then all of a sudden in your mind you say, I wonder whatever happened to that pain. And the next thing you know, your mind is telling you got pain again. That does happen too, doesn't it?
It does happen. Yes, it does.
So and this is where you need a professional to kind of sit you down and say, look, we've done the tests, we've done the studies, this is what we found. Maybe there's nothing there that you can really see. Hey, maybe it's your muscles just a little bit tight, and when you're walking, they get a little tight, and you start to get maybe a little cramp or a little Charlie horse, and that's all it is. That'd be great.
Right. Sometimes, all we really teach you is a few stretches and a few exercises to specific muscles, because you might just have one weak muscle that's causing your whole foundation to be off. And so you have to fix that one thing so that you can do what you want to do.
That's where you guys come in kind of handy.
Yeah.
But therapy is very important when you need it, because you can do therapy wrong when you try and self-administer, correct?
Oh, yes. We have some people that come in and say, well, I Googled this and this is what I did. And
WebMD, right?
it's like, oh my, those exercises I have never even heard of, or that's just not even, the form is, or sometimes they're doing the right exercises, their form is just bad. They just don't have the proper form. So we can teach you, like, you need to do it this way versus this way. Because those videos, I mean, some of them are great. I'm not going to say that. But some of them are not great. Or they don't tell you how to do it properly. And they're not there watching you do it properly.
Well, that's the key. That's what I was going to say. It's a video. So it's not a person watching you do it and how you approach it. Are you really stretching it, or are you just pushing on it? That's why that in-person therapy is so much different than trying to watch it. I remember used to be years ago. I want to date myself, but you used to have all these shows on TV that I know a lot of ladies used to watch in the morning. They work out to them. Okay, I'm going back a long time with Jack LaLanne, and you had Richard Simmons. You had the different one, Debbie Reynolds. All these different shows were on TV, and my mom used to do it to these people, and I'm thinking, okay. But they can't see if you're doing it right, So you could hurt yourself. And she goes, oh, no. Everything's been working out real great. Well, then one time she did hurt her hip. She didn't know what she did, but she kept doing it. And I said, Mom, why are you limping? Well, I'll kind of tweak my hip doing one of those exercises. Well, actually, she had cracked her hip, and she didn't know it. And so that's not a good thing to do. So you got to be very cautious, doing these things not in the presence of somebody where they can't get feedback from you.
Right.
Or you can't give feedback. Hey, this isn't feeling right. Am I doing this right? If you don't know it and you say, you know what, I'm going to bear through it. I'm going to just drive through this thing and conquer that mountain with that, mountain bike. That may not be a good idea to conquer that mountain with a mountain bike if you crack your hip.
That's right.
So one of the things that when you use videos and things, it's instructional, but it doesn't have that feedback. And that's what the therapy is. Because when you guys work with people and you're pushing them, now, trust me, therapy is not always pleasant, right?
I get that a lot, actually. I have a few names that, people call me. But
okay, but
it's all in love.
It is, but to get to the final place that you need to get them to, there's going to be some pain, more than likely, because let's just say you've had surgery. Well, those muscles have been sitting there dormant for a while. You go to stretch them out or whatever, they're not going to say, yes, sirree, Bob, I'm ready to do this. They're going to like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And they're going to kind of react a little bit. And so after your first day at therapy, you might be a little bit sore. You guys come back in, and you're like, I'm sore. Well, yeah, you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and we try to adjust, and we try to make you not so sore that you can't move the next day. But and if you are sore, then you need to tell your therapist. Don't just say, I'm just going to grin and bear this, and this is going to be fine. We need to know. Because if you don't tell us, we're not going to know. We can't read your mind. That's not something they teach us.
Right. Elizabeth, there's some difference between sore and hurt.
Yes, there is.
You know, sore, it's uncomfortable. Hurt means the ice pick in the knee.
If you're having a lot of pain, if you go to therapy and you're having a lot of pain, then you need to tell us because we need to adjust something. If you have a little bit of muscle soreness, we're probably going to say, okay, keep going.
Right.
But if you're having severe pain, then you need to tell us because there's definitely something that's wrong.
Right. So that's why I think the feedback with therapy is just as key as anything else. Yeah, the online stuff is fantastic if everything is perfect, but you know, if it's not perfect or you have some issues, that online therapist right there, they're not talking to you.
No.
They're not saying, how you doing? And even if they did say, how you doing? And you're answering it, they're not listening because they can't hear you. You know, but that's the one thing when it's one-on-one and your therapist is there working with you. And, of course, you guys are trained when you know you can only go so far. Because sometimes getting flexibility back in the knee and things of that nature, you can only take it so far before that pain is going to become excruciating. You're going to get it to where there's a little pain. Let's keep stretching a little bit more. How far can we go? But as soon as there's that level, bang, you have to know.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's just sometimes it's easier to have someone else stretch you, especially after like a total knee or shoulder replacement because, well, you're not allowed to with certain surgeries anyway. Sure. But other surgeries, it's easier to let someone else do it because it's just so painful for you to move it. So sometimes allowing us to move it will allow you to move it.
Because your brain won't let you do it.
Yes.
Your brain's going to tell you this is going to hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but then, and this is, we're not trying to scare anybody away from therapy. Therapy is a great way to get yourself back on your feet. Hey, if you have surgery on your knee, you're going to have to go through therapy. You're just going to have to. On your hip, you're going to have to go through therapy. On your ankle, you're going to have to go through therapy. Because if you don't, and we kind of talked about it before, and you start walking incorrectly, you could create another whole Empire State Building worth of problems, couldn't you?
Yes, you can. And I've seen people that didn't go to therapy, or they'll have a friend that they said, well, my friend, they didn't do therapy, and now they can't move their knee. Well, yeah, because
they didn't do therapy.
They didn't do therapy, and you can't. If you don't have flexibility in your knee, you're going to know that you cannot go upstairs, you can't go up a hill, you can't go down this hill. So you're very limited in what you can do, especially in Salem. There's not very many level places around here.
No, there's not.
So you need to at least come to therapy, let us try, and if we can't help you, we're going to tell you, hey, we need to send you back to the doctor. There's something worse going on, or we're not going to just make you come just so you can come see us.
Well, and in therapy, sometimes they might be two different things that actually are wrong with you, and maybe they corrected the one, but while you guys are doing therapy, you're saying, hey, wait a minute, there's still, and you guys talk to the doctor about this, there's still something amiss here. They're still not able to do this, and by this time they should be able to stand on that leg and be able to do these things. So you can tell from your guys' experience just when something isn't right.
Right, yeah. I mean, sometimes we get people that they come in for back pain, but it's really their hip. And so we'll tell them, hey, I really think you need to go back to the doctor and have them look at your hip. And then 3 months later, they come back in with a hip replacement because it wasn't their back that was the problem. It was actually their hip that was the problem. But because of where the pain was, it was hard for the doctor to tell. Or they didn't know the pain. They didn't realize that the hip was affecting their mobility that much.
And sometimes, and something we talk a lot about after surgery therapy, but sometimes it's better to go through therapy before the surgery just like what you're saying. You have a hip problem, but your back is hurting. Your lower back is hurting all the time. You think, oh my gosh, I got to get something done with my lower back. But that's not what the issue is. So a lot of times you go to therapy, well, yeah, your hip is out of whack. We need to work you back in. Let's manipulate this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's loosen up those muscles. Let's get you walking right. And then the next thing you know, their back's not hurting anymore. And their hip's not hurting anymore either.
Yeah, sometimes we can avoid surgery. I mean, like a lot of people will come in and they'll be like, well, my doctor wants me to do therapy so I can, because the insurance won't approve this test or whatever. Well, that's okay, because sometimes you don't actually have to have that test, because sometimes you'll notice with therapy in a couple of weeks you feel better and that pain is gone, and then you've avoided having the cost of this big test.
Or surgery.
Yeah,
and a lot of people sometimes jump to the gun and think, I got some issues. I have issues with my knees. And a lot of times I'll sit there and go, I've got this pain. I give it a day. Okay, the next day, if it's still there, then I'm going to find myself heading some direction. But most of the time, within 8 to 10 hours, I've stretched it, loosened it, to the point that it's no longer that severe pain.
Yeah.
Now, when you start to get a little bit older, you're going to have aches and pains. You're just going to, And I used to be an athlete years ago, so I expect it. Yes. Okay, so you're going to have some arthritis there. I know there's arthritis in the elbow, 2 tore rotator cuffs, some bad knees. But that's okay. I knew that was going to happen when you participate. You have to be aware. And I think people, I look at some of these farmers that have been doing this for years and years and years out in the field, and the tolls that they've taken on their body, and they continue to be able to work through it because they did it the right way when they were doing it. They haven't injured themselves. But if you would take them out of that element where they do something different, where they could get injured. You don't take a farmer out of the field and go throw them on a, ice rink or something. The next thing you know, they're falling and twisting, and they can get hurt. Yeah. But you put somebody that maybe has never been in a field trying to work a field, they can get hurt a different way. Right. So we all have, we kind of get acclimated to our surroundings and what we do. And then you kind of know then if it's a muscle ache, if it's this. But also, I remember when I stepped wrong and my knee popped up, and this was a few years back, and I thought, I watched my knee just explode. It just doubled in size in the shower, and what the heck? I didn't even know I did it. I must have stepped wrong.
Right.
Didn't feel any pain, didn't feel anything, but your knee doesn't get double its size just because. So I thought, okay, well, I came to work and I put some ice on it, trying to get the swelling down, and it finally went down. I thought, what the heck? I went to the doctor, and we had to get. They wanted to take. They said it was arthritis at first. They didn't know, so they took pictures, and they said, well, yeah, you got a little bit of arthritis in there. I said, I figured I do, but it won't blow up like that on arthritis. Not immediately. Something else happened, and I did. I tore my meniscus, just a little bit, but I tore it. So there you go. Now you know the answer. Why did it do that? So when I went to talk to the doctor about it later on, he goes, so how do you feel? I said, well, I feel fine, because most of it was in the red tissue where it was healing, just a little bit into the cartilage. That's never going to heal.
Nope.
Sooner or later, it's just going to get worse over time, and I knew that. So my choice was, no surgery right now. I'm doing fine. I don't have any pain. Now, as you well know, as a therapist, if I sit there and tweak and turn the wrong way, I'm going to get pain. And it's going to, and you're going to actually tear it a little bit more, bit more. So, it's happened a couple of times, but I've been, knock on wood somewhere, been able to get by. But I'm getting to the point now that happens now more and more and more. And I know I need to get back and go get MRI and probably a CAT scan and just make sure there's nothing else in there besides that. But there probably needs to be a little cleaning up. I got to be honest with myself. I know it's coming.
Right. And it sounds like Stan needs to come to therapy.
No, I do. I do. And then I will be there, but I want to make sure I know what I have first.
Right.
And that's I've always been kind of like that because I've gone. The doctor's got the X-rays. I've talked to them. What do I have? What do I do? What's my options?
Right.
You know, when they talk to me about my options, and I even talked to the doctor of this one. He said, he goes, if I turn it in, they're going to want to do surgery right now. And I said, you can turn it in. I said, but I'm electing not to do it. So that's my choice that I'm not doing it. I said, because I've been walking on it for 2 months.
Right.
You know, and if it was a problem, I had already been back. So you have to, you have to know the person too, but you've got to believe in what you're doing. But I also know, just like I said, if I turn the wrong way and tweak it, I could rip that sucker right through. So part of that, you have to be aware that, yes, you have a tear. It's not going away. It's not going to heal. It's there, and it's going to be there the rest of my life or get worse as time goes on, which more than likely it already has.
Right. Yeah.
How about the rotator cuffs? They're just there. They got scar tissue all over them. Did you ever put your arms up and just listen to scar tissue? Not fun. It's what you get for what you want to do when you're younger and you love doing it.
That's for a life well lived.
Well, that's a life well lived. However, do I need to have surgery? If I'm not doing anything that's creating me to lift anything super bad, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But therapy is wonderful because even with my rotator cuff scars that I have, that aren't scars, they're internal. Just all it is just scar tissue. Therapy is a good thing.
Yeah.
You guys can actually get in there and move that, manipulate that to where I have better flexibility, so my shoulders don't hurt as much when I go to lift my arms.
Right.
And see, so there's good things to therapy that you don't have to have surgery with.
Right. Yeah. If we can avoid surgery for you, then that's great. But if you've had surgery and you need us, we're here for that too. I mean, we just want people to be as independent as possible for as long as possible.
Well, that's very good. Physical therapy is a great way to do it. And if you have any questions about that, talk to your doctor and they can get you established. You guys do a tremendous job. I mean, therapists, yeah, you get called a few names. That's going to happen. But therapists really, they have to put themselves out there, and you're kind of at their mercy, but they know you're at their mercy, and so they will work with you to get you back on your feet just as quickly as they possibly can, or get rid of that pain as quickly as they possibly can, because they know you want to be that whole person that you want to be.
Yes. Yep.
And independent.
Yes.
At home, doing what you do the best.
Yes, that's what we want. We want people at home, independent as long as possible. Whether that's you or your loved one, whoever it is. We want you to be living your best life.
A little TLC on your own body doesn't hurt anything either. But don't be afraid of getting out there and continuing to move. You do need to just keep that body going.
Yep.
Boom, boom, boom. I don't think you need to do any snow skiing down the Alps or anything of that nature if you're 70. Well, maybe. I've known some people in their 60s and 70s that still snow ski.
I wouldn't start out at 70 doing it, but if you've already been doing it your whole life, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. Elizabeth, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming in. And we always want to remind our friends, our hospital has some of the best physical therapists around, occupational therapists too. If you need to have therapy done, get it done here. Yes. You don't have to go somewhere else to get it done. Our people right here at home can make it a lot easier on you. So get in touch with your doctor, tell them about it, and get that therapy scheduled. You can also call the hospital, 729-6626. What's the extension to therapy?
We actually have our own direct number now.
Oh, my gosh, they have changed that whole phone system, haven't they?
It's 573-453-5949. So
wow,
you don't even have to talk to the operator. You call us directly.
453-49...
5949.
5949. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Do we have a directory yet
for
the hospital? Great. I'd have to check that out. I did not. I knew they were getting a phone system in. I didn't know they had everybody in their own number yet.
I'm not sure that not every department has a direct line, but therapy has a direct line. Of course, the doctors have a direct line.
Okay, very good. All right, there you go. One more time for the new direct line to therapy.
573-453-5949.
There you go. Elizabeth, thank you very much for coming in. Our spotlight on Salem Memorial Hospital. We've got civic happenings coming up next.
It's here and now available. The 37th edition of the annual Ozarks Pigskin